top 10 takeaways from the NFL Scouting Combine. It was cool. It was cool. It worked. It worked. This is a successful event, except the NFL has a problem. And if they want to keep making this thing bigger and bigger and bigger, a bigger and bigger media spectacle, it's one of the biggest sporting events in the country. Is the NFL Scouting Combine. The ratings on the NFL Scouting Combine are near the top in the television ratings for the year, right? So you have the second biggest event on the calendar for television ratings is the NFL Draft. Right? It goes the Super Bowl and the NFL Draft, then the NFL Scouting Combine is up there in with the Masters and big sporting events. And while I enjoyed it, again, it was a successful event. We sent 4 guys to the Combine. Anand and Dury was there. Austin Abbott was there. Memphis Young was there. But the MVP, Johnny Tuma, big shout out to Johnny Tuma, really coming into his own. He's been seizing control of the NFL news desk, especially the video production. So if you subscribe to Player Profiler Now, the Player Profiler Now channel, that's where the news desk is constantly putting out news updates, fantasy relevant news items. And a lot of those videos that get posted are Johnny Tuma. And then no one's asking him to do this. Like, he is just taking the initiative. No one asked him to go to the Combine. Like, I was just like, hey, guys, we have credentials. And Johnny's like, I will go. I'm going to drive there myself. If you can just get me a credential, I'm going. I want to ask these guys all these questions. What kind of questions should I ask? And I was like, well, let's figure out some questions we can ask that are clever, that are thought-provoking, that are potentially belligerent, but not necessarily alienating, not necessarily going to create too much stress and tension and create any real controversy, but just enough. Like, just enough. Just enough to move the needle. How do we move the needle without getting kicked out or without becoming a pariah media entity? That is the challenge, and so we game planned that, and he did a great job. I hope that Johnny can go to as many events as possible. Follow him on social media. Again, he's all over the Player Profiler Now TikTok. We have a Player Profiler Now TikTok, so if you're on TikTok, check it out there. We had a bunch of videos perform very well, but just so much great content coming from Johnny. And just wow, right? Wow. And that's the thing about Player Profiler is you could just email me, podfather@rotorunderworld.com, and be like, hey, I would like to get involved. I would like to produce shows. I would like to write news blurbs. I would like to maybe one day go to the Combine. How do I do that? I will respond personally, and I will give you a roadmap to do that. And Johnny is just seizing the day. Like, that's what he is, seizing control, right, of his own destiny at the news desk. And so I'm super proud of him. Jeremiah, Bradley, Brendan Booth going to the Super Bowl. There's so many of these new guys, especially that are coming up through the news desk and getting featured on Player Profiler Now, are really starting to shine, really stepping forward and growing into the role. It's super cool to see. However, the NFL still has a problem with the star players not working out. They need to figure out a way to convince star wide receivers, star tight ends, star quarterbacks to participate fully in the NFL Scouting Combine. Because you go to Player Profiler and you look up Luther Burden, or you look up Emeka Egbuka, and what do you see? A whole bunch of nothing. A whole bunch of nothing. They don't participate. They're like, oh, we know we're a first-round pick, so if we work out at all, it's going to be in our own conditions, right? We're going to control the environment because we can, because we have a first-round pick on our hands, and we're not going to risk it. Right? I remember when Laquan Treadwell did this. When Laquan Treadwell did this, I was unhappy. I thought, this is not cool. He was just sitting there, sitting back with sweatpants and a backwards hat while everyone else was working out, and maybe was rooting for some of his friends, but wasn't participating. And I was like, "Ooh, this is a red flag." Not just for him, because maybe there's something to hide. And then sure enough, he was slow, and he was a first-round pick. Actually, this is a true story. Laquan Treadwell, once upon a time, was a first-round pick. It was thought to be the number one wide receiver in the class. Then he went out and ran a 4.6 and realized, okay, this guy's not going to be able to separate at the next level. Forget about it. But no, he was a first-round pick in Dynasty. Oh, yeah, first-round rookie pick all the way. But still, that event, something I still remember vividly, like, what happens if now 3 or 4 of the top wide receivers, every wide receiver expected to get drafted in the first round, decides, I'm going to opt out of the athleticism drills at the scouting combine? Well, that's going to make the event much less compelling, and eventually it could get to a point where no one is incentivized to attend anymore. And if you want to make a big network television event, which is what the NFL wants to do with the scouting combine, they got to figure out a way to make it happen. They got to figure out a way to get the star players to work out. I don't know what it's going to take. We'll see. Maybe it's part of the collective bargaining agreement of some kind, but we got to get this figured out. So that was my frustration. I loved it, but I was frustrated that with the tight ends, right? Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, Elijah Arroyo, Oronde Gadsden. Where are their 40 times? They're going to run it at their pro day, I hope, maybe, right? Gadsden will run it at the pro day. Arroyo probably at the pro day. And then will Loveland and Warren work out at all even at their pro day? We don't know. We hope so. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe at some point they've already come out and committed to working out at their pro days. I haven't been following each and every one of their individual press releases yet. I just know that it's not a great look. It's not a great look if you're going to skip all the workout drills altogether. Because remember, once upon a time, Ja'Marr Chase did everything. You see all these guys opting out of the agility drills. I mean, two running backs will actually participate in the 3-cone. Ja'Marr Chase did it. Ja'Marr Chase did the 3-cone. Ja'Marr Chase did the shuttle. Ja'Marr Chase did everything because he's like, I'm this good. I have nothing to hide, and I'm hydrated, so I don't think I'm going to pull a muscle. What's the fear here? But I go to the cornerbacks. No Travis Hunter. I go to Burden, Igbuka, McMillan. Nothing. So this is a long-term problem for the NFL, and my recommendation is that the administrators at the NFL find a way to rectify this. Fortunately, this running back class is exceptional, and only one running back is guaranteed to be drafted in the first round, Ashton Jeanty. So we got to see all the top running backs, with the exception of Ashton Jeanty, work out at least in the 40 and in the burst drills, the explosion drills, the vertical jump, the broad jump. So that was great to see. And that helps to perpetuate the strength of this class, that all these running backs are fighting for first-round draft capital, and they're going for it. And it was as impressive of a running back class at an NFL scouting combine as I've ever seen. So we'll talk about the running backs in a little bit. But first, I do want to talk about the tight ends. We did get Harold Fannin to work out. Harold Fannin clearly had something to prove. And unfortunately, it didn't go well for Harold Fannin. So Harold Fannin ran a 4.71. Now you go to Player Profiler, and you can see 4.71. Oh, wow, that's 67th percentile. That's pretty good, right? No, right? This is a 6'3", 241-pound Harold Fannin. Now, he does weigh 240, which was good, right? There was a fear he'd be sub 240, so at least he weighs 240. But the vast majority of these tight end 40 times, that are holding down the percentiles are blocking tight ends that go out and run a 4.9. Most of the tight ends that are fantasy relevant are going to be explosive. They're going to be athletic. That is the position that puts the most premium on athleticism. So if you're going to be 240, you better be a hyper athlete, right? Even a guy like Gerald Everett. I comped Harold Fannin to Gerald Everett at some point. Like, oh yeah, maybe he'll be as good as Gerald Everett. And Gerald Everett, more explosive than Harold Fannin. Now, it's not out of bounds to say that he's good, right? He's good at football, right? It's not absurd, this idea that he's going to end up having a solid, productive NFL career. Absolutely. Could he be a superstar? Could he be a Pro Bowler? Yes. Yes, I remember Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed was a tweener tight end, a proper wide tight end with Washington, and he was a top 5 fantasy tight end. He was a Pro Bowler. He was great. And concussions cut short his career. So it's possible. Like, there are comps in Harold Fannin's range of outcomes. Look at that 1,500-yard season. I mean, are you not impressed with a 1,500-yard season? It's possible. It's certainly possible. It's not impossible. But, I mean, not great. So that is it, and that is all as it relates to tight ends. That's the final word on tight ends. Now we can get in and talk about every other position. So it's my one takeaway about the tight end position. Harold Fannin is too slow to be a successful tweener, but it's possible he's Jordan Reed in the absolute outer bounds of the probability curve. We can't bury the lead. The number one takeaway is that this running back class melted faces in a major way. And just to put it in context, just to show how good this class really, really was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 running backs in the upper 70th percentile of the speed score metric on playerprofiler.com. And speed score takes the 40 time and factors in a player's size to make it actually more predictive of future success than the 40 time itself. And there's Tuten at the top. Not just the fastest 40, but because he has some size, he's more than 200 pounds, also the best speed score by far and away, 98th percentile speed score. What is Ashton Jeanty's speed score? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. But we had Tuten, Montrell Jordan, Omarion Hampton, DJ Giddens, and Quinshon Judkins, Raheem Sanders, and RJ Harvey all in the top 5. Really? 7 guys in the top 5 because you had, well, those are the guys in the 90th plus percentile. Wow. Right? Who was the most impressive? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Email me, right? PodFather@rotounderworld.com. Who was the most impressive at the combine? Post a message to me on X or tweet me at @fantasy_mansion. Now, for me, it was Omarion Hampton. He was the best because he has the potential to be the RB1 in this class. So the biggest takeaway from this combine by far, and this is not up for dispute, this is the number one takeaway. We're not doing the takeaways in order. I wish I was that organized. We're not. The number one takeaway is there's now 3 running backs that could be the best running back in this class. We came in thinking it's Ashton Jeanty. There's only Ashton Jeanty. I've talked to Alex Dunlap. I've talked to many people. And it's always been, Ashton Jeanty is at a completely in a different tier. And now you can't say that because he didn't work out. So now we have a lot more information about Hampton. We have a lot more information about Judkins. We know that Judkins would have been a mega producer had he not been sharing a field with Travion Henderson. Omarion Hampton was a mega producer, a Judkins plus mega producer at North Carolina. Not quite Jeanty, but now that we have the athleticism metrics, if Hampton is more athletic than Jeanty, suddenly we have a debate. Quinshon Judkins is absolutely in the conversation because he shared a field, because he was such a mega producer at an early age. I mean, at age 18, Quinshon Judkins was putting up 1,000+ yards at Ohio State against upper-level competition. Are you not impressed? So the high-end running backs in this class exceeded expectations, and the low-end running backs in this class exceeded expectations. That's the beauty of it. That's what's so cool about DJ Giddens and RJ Harvey and Bayshell Tuten and all the way down to like Ty Felton. That's a wide receiver. But Jarquez Hunter, I mean, impressive. Like really, really, really impressive. And so I posted a video with the Combine Killers, a video I posted on YouTube yesterday. And one of the commenters said, well, yawn, right? Because I said every RB3 in the league is about to lose their job. So here's an application for UPS. Here's a place to get your online real estate license. Yawn, right? Yawn. A bunch of Jags are going to lose their jobs. Yawn. D'Ernest Johnson's not going to be a running back in the NFL anymore. Yawn. Well, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting because we haven't seen a running back class completely wipe out an entire tier of running backs in the NFL. There's never been a running back class nearly this deep. That it's assured that a lot of running backs people like, that they've stashed in Dynasty, they've been clogging their rosters, their taxi squads, they're all gone. They're all vaporized. Running backs I like, Julius Chestnut. How the hell is he going to keep his job? There's running backs that have broken out and been major fantasy factors. Jordan Mason. A guy like Jordan Mason can't work in the NFL anymore. That's interesting. That is not a yawn-worthy insight. Right? Of course, there's like 10 running backs that are currently starting, that are primary backs in the league, that are also at risk of losing their jobs. They're not going to lose their contracts. They're not going to lose their careers. They're just not going to be starters anymore. That, to me, was more self-evident than 30 running backs losing their jobs because this is such a generationally deep class. But so be it. Those are two takeaways from the NFL Scouting Combine. It's so deep. The running back class is so deep that there will be a historic number of running backs in the NFL losing their jobs and having to change careers, and a historic number of starting running backs, primary backs in the league, that will be relegated. They may be relegated the day that Omarion Hampton is drafted. Wherever Omarion Hampton goes, that running back is relegated, right? Or it happens in camp, or it happens by week 3, right? There's going to be a lot of situations where the starting running back, the de facto running back, the Tony Pollard, the Rhamondre Stevenson, the Alvin Kamara, they are the starter in week 1, but they're not the starter in week 4. They're not the starter in week 8. That, to me, is actually more self-evident than an entire tier of running backs being wiped out and made extinct. But, hey, I'm reading the comments now. I am more engaged with the analysis that I'm providing than ever before. I don't know, did I do a top 10 takeaways from the NFL Scouting Combine last year? Probably not. I think we were too enmeshed in building out Fast Draft to even have that opportunity. And speaking of Fast Draft, I just cut a promotion for Fast Draft. So let's run a Fast Draft promotion talking about a new contest that we dropped. And let me know. On the other side of this, let me know. I take a lot of pride in my ability to cut promos. And, a handful of people, I've been talked to a lot of people the last month, connected with a lot of analysts around the industry. And a couple of them actually complimented my ability to cut these promos. I never thought of these promos being in any way special or well produced. I do them on my own, just using iMovie. Like there's not a professional level of production value with these promos. But I do care. I care a lot about Fast Draft. We've spent years fundraising for it and building it and getting it in compliance and licensing it in all these states. So yeah, this is a lot of work. So see what you think about this new contest promo that I cut this weekend. I am proud to announce that Fast Draft now has an all-defense game called D-Up. That's right, fans of IDP finally have a real money best ball game that they can play. No more manually setting up leagues every time you want to do a draft. No. Now you can play for 10 grand, 2,000 to first. Could draft up to 30 teams, all defense. And the best part, balanced scoring, tackles for loss, pass breakups. It all factors in. Just draft 6 defensive players, top 4 into your lineup every week. It's that easy. It's so easy that this isn't just for IDP people. If you love the NFL, then you'll love this game. And for the first time with Fast Draft, you can sweat both sides of the ball on Sunday. So use your host's promo code to get a $25 deposit match, and you'll love this D-Up contest because it's about time we got one. The promo code is PodFather. The promo code is PodFather for a $25 deposit match on Fast Draft. And here are the comments. Here it is from Terminal Sarcasm. There it is. Top 5 backs in danger of losing their job. Isn't that what we were expecting? Yeah. Right. Yeah. We know that. What I'm saying is the difference between our assumptions heading into the combine and what we now know is that it's not 5. It's 10. Right? It's not 15 running backs that we had tagged as truther players, great stashes. It's 30 that we can just cut loose in Dynasty. Like, that is the action item that we're talking about. Is that if you're making a decision at any point in the next month about who to keep on your Dynasty roster, who to keep stashed on your taxi squad, all those fringe running backs that are on NFL teams, you can now more confidently cut them loose. You can more confidently package them up and try to create a one of these, just a tranche, right? A CDO, a collateralized debt obligation, like from the 2008 financial crash. You can create just a CDO of all the worst mortgages and try to sell that to someone on Wall Street. If that's how you're envisioning trading in Dynasty, you just want to package all these running backs and just jettison them. Jettison them because they're all at risk of no longer being on NFL teams, and many of the starting running backs around the league are in danger of losing their jobs. So we're talking about Rhamondre Stevenson. We're talking about, yes, even like James Cook, Chase Brown. Yeah, Chase Brown. Omarion Hampton goes to Cincinnati. Chase Brown becomes a satellite back. Okay? Jerome Ford, Jalen Warren, Joe Mixon. At the midway point of the 2025 season, you're not allowed to be surprised that Joe Mixon eventually gets relegated by whoever the Texans might have drafted on day 2. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, whoever is on the Raiders, Zamir White, whoever's on the Chargers, post-free agency, Rico Dowdle. We can just keep going on and on and on and on down the list. Brian Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, DeAndre Swift, whoever's on the Vikings, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Jordan Mason because Christian McCaffrey's not healthy. How many is that? That's more than 10. I guarantee I just listed more than 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Like up to 20. Okay? Okay, I just surprised myself. Now, I take it all back. The internet commenter was right. I was like, yeah, there's going to be about 10 running backs that get relegated. Yeah, that's expected. I don't see why they wanted me to go through that list when actually I wanted to list every running back in the league that's actually not going to be employed by the NFL soon. But the commenter is right. I had to count it all up and find out that there's 20 starting running backs that are at risk. And here's why. I have one particular running back that just fully exemplifies why all these running backs are at risk. His name is Jarquez Hunter. And Jarquez Hunter isn't that impressive when you look at his production profile, right? But Jarquez Hunter ran a 4.44. That's 90th percentile. That's really impressive. And he's strong, 21 bench reps. And he has a 1,200-yard season and 9 touchdowns and 20-plus receptions in a season. If you watched Auburn, this wasn't the guy that you were like, oh my God, he's going to hit the NFL and he's going to immediately relegate somebody. But when you add it up, how many running backs post a 4.440 or a 4.4540 with 1,200 yards and 20 catches in a season? Most of those running backs have a real shot at taking over a primary back job in the NFL. And he isn't even close to the top 10 among NFL running back prospects. This is what I'm talking about. So we have the data analysis tool. So let's check out the data analysis tool and we'll look at the combine. Okay. So you go to the data analysis tool on Player Profiler. Okay. And you select draft year. We'll select 40-yard dash, burst score, and speed score. Okay. Now, here it is. Here are all the running backs sorted top to bottom by 40 time. Bayshell Tuten, 4.32. Okay, that's 100th percentile speed. That's Chris Johnson level speed. Okay. Now, Jaden Blue, he runs a 4.38, but the thing is, Texas has so much talent. There's so many great players now going to Texas because of all the NIL money that Texas is offering that many of the skill position players cannot put up the big numbers. Xavier Worthy did not put up big counting stats. Neither did Adonai Mitchell. Neither did Matthew Golden. But we'll talk about Matthew Golden and his 40 time in a minute, his athleticism in a minute. The Texas players need to be given a premium during the pre-draft process, and we tried to explain this. And remember that Jax and Theo debated this. The Matthew Golden archetype and why Matthew Golden needs to be moved up. He's going to be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft now. He runs like a 4.29. And think about Jaden Blue. Who cares about the production? What did Arch Manning do last year? Think about it. Brashard Smith also ran a sub 4.40. And he's one of the best receiving running backs to come out in years. This is exciting, right? So now we have a satellite back that runs a 4.39 and is an exceptional receiver. He has a wide receiver background. So he has a wide receiver background running a 4.39 coming out and with like Chris Thompson is his floor. Okay. Then you've got RJ Harvey. Look at RJ Harvey for a second. Look at this. He's 205 pounds, so he's just barely big enough to be considered, a primary back, with 95th percentile 40 time and 89th percentile burst. Also, 96th percentile college dominator rating, 75th percentile college target share, and he put up back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons at UCF. UCF is not a Division II program. Right, this is like a classic Conference USA program. What's not to like about RJ Harvey other than the fact that he's old? But guess what? Age at draft is not nearly as predictive for running backs as it is for wide receivers. For running backs, it's not predictive hardly at all. This is an impressive list. I mean, Montrell Johnson, Micah Bernard. Who are these guys? Marcus Yarns, I knew. Marcus Yarns was a late ad from Delaware that we ranked like a few weeks ago. Runs a 4.45. This is insane. Most of these running backs do not run this fast. Omarion Hampton, incredibly impressive. Look at this. 88th percentile speed, 92nd percentile burst, to go along with two 1,500-yard seasons, and he averaged like 33 catches per season the last 2 years. And he's young. Just happens to be young. And he's one of my guys. I updated my guys on the website on playerprofiler.com. You can see my guys have been updated. Omarion Hampton, one of my guys. Will he go in the first round? Why not? Like, why wouldn't you draft him in the first round? If you're an NFL team and you just saw Saquon Barkley win a Super Bowl for the Eagles, you're going to draft this guy in the first round. So, Judkins, Hampton, Henderson, and of course, Jeanty, that's a potential 4 running backs going in the first round. We haven't seen 4 running backs go in the first round since like 2008. The Darren McFadden year. It's been almost 20 years. So the top end of this class is exceptional, and the depth is absolutely outstanding. So Hampton, Tuten, RJ Harvey, Quinshon Judkins, and then there's DJ Giddens. I don't want to forget DJ Giddens. DJ Giddens he ran the 4.43, but so many of these guys not only are delivering the 90th percentile speed score, but they're also in the upper 90th percentile of burst score as well. It's cartoonish. It's cartoonishly good, this class. I don't understand how it's happened, but it's just that good. And another takeaway is that it's possible that this class closes the gap significantly once you factor in the draft capital with the 2024 class. The 2024 class has Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. And we'll soon see what we have with Michael Penix. And maybe Kaleb Williams. We'll see. So the quarterback class is going to carry 2024 off into the sunset. Can't forget Drake May. And then you have all those wide receivers. And you are going to get a breakout for sure. I mean, I promise you, Rome Odunze will break out. But then we're also... Xavier Worthy is poised to exceed expectations this year. He's a great value in all formats. So there's just so many wide receivers from that 2024 class other than Marvin Harrison Jr. that are exceeding or will exceed expectations in 2025. Then you have the greatest tight end in the history of the league in Brock Bowers. So there's no way, no matter how good this running back class is, there's no way that this class can compete with 2024, except that we have not yet been able to fully appreciate what this wide receiver class is because 4 of the top receivers barely worked out. And the ones that did were awesome. Right? So if we go back to the data analysis tool. Okay. Matthew Golden runs a 4.29. Dante Thornton runs a 4.3 flat. Chamir Dyke, Jalen Lane, Arian Smith, Jordan Watkins, Ty Felton, who I like a lot. I think he's underrated. Kendre Lambert-Smith, Jalen Noel, Isaiah Bond, Isaiah Nayer, Dominic Lovett, and Kyle Williams, all run 4.4s or better. Like, how? How? This is incredible. So, I mean, this was supposed to be a super weak wide receiver class. Not necessarily. Now we see how athletic they are. Okay, this is a bunch of athletes. And a bunch of guys from Texas that are all cannibalizing targets from each other. And it's difficult to appreciate how good they are. I mean, Texas must be nice. Must be nice to just have all the best athletes go to your school. I mean, Isaiah Bond, pretty impressive. Wow. Yeah, there's no way this class can compete with 2024. I'll still say it. But if Luther Burden and or Tet McMillan and or Egbuka exceed expectations in their pro days, it's at least going to be interesting. It's at least going to be interesting to see how far this running back class can drag this class. And also we need to see the pro days for Tyler Warren, Arroyo, Loveland. There's a lot of pro days left to go. Too many pro days. Should have all been done at the combine. That's my last complaint on that. But there were some players that disappointed. Right? Kaleb Johnson disappointed. Jordan James disappointed. So with Kaleb Johnson, he didn't hurt himself. I think we knew, hey, this is a 4.55 running back. He is one of the toughest runners. He has incredible vision. This is how he wins on the football field. The production speaks for itself. Well, okay. Put him in at RB2, and then we'll see what happens. And at the combine, see, because this is such a competitive class, he was forced to run. He couldn't duck the combine. He wasn't guaranteed first-round draft capital. And now you look up, and it's like, is he a top 5 running back in this class? He's no longer in the same tier as Hampton, no longer in the same tier as Judkins. He's not going to get the capital that Henderson's going to get. So now he's clinging to the RB5 spot. What about Tuten? What if Tuten gets the draft capital? We don't know. Look at DJ Giddens. I mean, can we just one more time look at this guy's profile? Back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons, averaging more than 10 touchdowns per year the last 2 years, averaging 25 catches per year the last 2 years, 21 years old. How do you not love this? How do you not love this guy? And this is just a guy that was down the board. He would be like the guy. If he came out last year, he would have been the guy. Now he's just maybe top 10. He's in my top 10, but he's not consensus top 10. He might be in someone's top 10, might not. That's the difference with that's the way that you could score the 2024 versus 2025 class. If you scored it by, fantasy points above replacement, and all these running backs hit in an extreme way, given late round quarterback is very much the preferred strategy for most savvy fantasy gamers, then it actually becomes very easy to say that for fantasy, this is a better class than 2024. If this running back class delivers, they have to get the draft capital, and then they have to deliver, because we've seen productive athletic running backs faceplant in the NFL. It has happened many times. You get a guy like Tevin Coleman, who ran a 4.4 flat, who had a 2,000-yard season, and never fired as a starting running back in the NFL. Was always the complimentary back to Devontae Freeman, and then suffered injuries and was never the guy. How long did it take Chuba Hubbard? Right, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we can now, for fantasy purposes, compare the 2024 and 2025 class and create a scenario, project out a scenario where the 2025 class actually scores more fantasy points and more fantasy points above replacement than the 2024 class, because of guys like RJ Harvey and DJ Giddens. That is the big takeaway. But again, you can only fully digest this when you have the data analysis tool, when you sort by speed score and you see the percentiles, when you sort by 40 time and you say, wait a second, there's how many guys in the 80th percentile? What? And even the players that missed expectations, like a Harold Fannin Jr., he still could be Jordan Reed. It's not over. It's just unlikely that he's a major factor. So 9 running backs in this class hit the 90th percentile or higher in the 40 time, and 7 hit the 90th percentile or higher in the speed score. And Kaleb Johnson looks like a lot of running backs that go out and put up multiple 1,000-yard seasons and are bell cows in the NFL. Do you like David Montgomery? I mean, even Alvin Kamara didn't post a sub 4.5 40. I mean, think about that. Take a guy like Devin Neal. If we're looking at Alvin Kamara had the burst score, right? He had the great long jump and the vertical jump, but didn't deliver in the 40. Well, that was Devin Neal. Devin Neal, a mega producer in college, just a metronome. Just bang, bang, bang every year. Disappointed at the combine. Only because we thought, we watched this guy play, hey, he could run a 4.4. He didn't run a 4.4. He runs the 4.55. Okay. There's so many quality comps for that player. And you look at the wide receivers. Jaden Higgins, 95th percentile speed score. Alec Ayomar, 80th percentile speed score. I mean, Alec Ayomar puts up a 40% dominator rating. He's 21 years old. And 80th percentile speed score and burst score. Put up over 1,000 yards at age 20 at Stanford. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in this class. He went to the combine and was like, I'm going to be a first-round pick. I'm going to earn it. And he did that. He's got to be a first-round pick now. So this wide receiver class helped itself by hiding the top players and just not allowing them to disappoint. They just didn't participate. And then most of the receivers that did participate exceeded expectations, like an Alec Ayomar, like a Jaden Higgins. Isaiah Bond ran the sub 4.4. Ty Felton, 4.37, with an 1,100-yard season and 9 touchdowns at Maryland. And he's 21 years old. Now, all of a sudden, this wide receiver class, it's telling a story you can get behind. Everyone's like pet wide receiver that they liked outside the top 3 had a great combine. Well, with one major exception, right? One major exception. We're going to talk about Trey Harris? We should talk about Trey Harris. Let's talk about Trey Harris. Let me know in the comments in the chat, especially if you're live. Put it in the comments right now. What do you think my analysis is going to be about Trey Harris? If you've been listening to this show for any length of time, what do you think I'm going to say? Because what I'm about to say in my head sounds very predictable. It's like everyone knows what I'm about to say. This is not interesting. Should I even bother saying it? I mean, I'm going to say it. Okay. 35% dominator rating, 72nd percentile. The guy had 3 consecutive 900-plus yard seasons. Transfers from Louisiana Tech to Ole Miss, doesn't miss a beat. Yards per reception goes up. Over 17.0 yards per reception back-to-back seasons in the SEC. He can do it all. He can get open underneath. He can win on the outside. He just doesn't have the straight line speed to get like deep separation. Okay. That's the one thing he can't do. Okay. He's faster than Dez Bryant. He's faster than Allen Robinson. He's faster than a lot of receivers that have had huge success in the NFL. So if he's technically sound, then he's going to be successful. This 40 time just creates value. Now you don't need to draft him as aggressively as you were. He falls back late second, early third round. Depends on where he gets drafted. But I like him. I like Trey Harris as a value. So I like A.O. Manor because I liked him before the combine, and now he looks even more explosive. He's just going to be a little harder to get. So now what's going to end up happening is I like A.O. Manor. It's not A.O. Manor. A.O. Manor? A.O. Manor. Let me know. I don't know. A.O. Manor. I don't like Manor. Like, he's good. Why would you call him Manor? I think it's Manor, but I don't know. I don't want to call him Manor. He's not Manor. He's really good. Is he good enough to draft? Yeah, see, that's the problem. Even a guy like A.O. Manor, I couldn't possibly draft him in a rookie draft no matter what my needs are. I'm going running back. I don't think that he has reached that point where, okay, I'm going to push the button on him in the late first round and then load up on running back after that. Is he that good that I can do that I can justify it? No. So I'm not going to end up with any I'm not going to end up with any Trey Harris. So it's all theoretical. Like, in a world where I'm not always loading up on running back all the time from the second round onward in rookie drafts, then I would have some of these guys, some of these wide receivers that I like, that, you know, and I would soak up the value. But even if a guy like Trey Harris is slipping into the third round, that's a value trap. I'm not going to actually draft them. I'm not going to do what? No, I'm drafting a running back, of course. Look at them all. But they're fun to talk about. Rookie receivers are fun to talk about. That is the final takeaway. That's got to be 10 takeaways by now. The final takeaway is that, yes, this running back class is as good as I've ever seen. I'm very excited about it. And I'm just going to plug and play my rookie draft strategy from all the previous years, but have even more success because it's all about drafting running backs. This wide receiver class exceeded expectations. I'm very excited by it. And it doesn't matter because there's no fucking way I'm drafting any of these guys. From the PodFather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.